morning, everyone. Please be seated and turn in your liturgy books to page 2. We'll begin with Gata of Atonement. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, may their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion, may all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Heart Sutra, found on page 4. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, practicing deep Prajna Paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Sariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining Anyuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisvaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisvaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisvaha. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the Great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Carolyn, Dave, Shane and Melissa, Ando, Chris, Laverne, Madonna, Jack, Roger, Soke, Curran, Evan, Sarah, Darcy. May they have peace and healing. And Janet, Tom, Molly, and Dylan at the time of their deaths, and to those affected by the flooding and tornadoes across the country, and those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, born
Dharma School today. Dharma School teachers and students, may we send out. The rest of us, please be seated for Zazen.
We will now recite the Sangha Covenant, which is found in your liturgy book on page 8. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated so that you can face the teachers and see them clearly. And as we open this portion of our service, we will chant Gata on opening the sutra, also on page 8. Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Wow, lots going on. And Zen was made for these times, and it was actually born in these times. So here we are, gathered again to somehow find our way. Somehow come back to ourselves in the midst of so many things pulling us in so many directions and so much uncertainty. We are in the middle of our Ango, our spring Ango, And Bodhidharma is helping us to return to our original sanity, right? Very important that even when everything else feels so insane, that our birthright, and let me repeat that, our birthright is sanity, original sanity. And we can find it and we can maintain it in all circumstances, okay? And it's not that hard, which is good news, right? So we're sort of in the middle of, excuse me. We're in the middle of Bodhidharma's outline of practice. So because I know there's a lot of people here who are maybe haven't heard the first part of the fascicle, I'll just read down and then I'll just stop where we left off, so you kind of know the context a little bit more. So many roads lead to the path, but basically there are only two: reason and practice, sometimes called principle and practice. To enter by reason means to realize the essence through instruction and to believe that all living things share the same true nature. So that's really, really operative concept right there. All living things share the same true nature. Everybody. Which isn't apparent because it's shrouded by sensation and delusion. Those who turn from delusion back to reality, this reality that we all share the same nature, who meditate on walls, the absence of self and other, the oneness of mortal and sage, and who remain unmoved even by scriptures, are in complete and unspoken agreement with reason. Without moving, without effort, they enter, we say, by reason. So where we left off was who remain unmoved even by scriptures, are in complete and unspoken agreement with reason. So I think we need a little bit of background to really appreciate why, in God's name, do I have to remain unmoved? I mean, it kind of is a pain in the neck to just sit there. My knees hurt, my mind's cray-cray. It's like, it's kind of boring sometimes. It's like, why do I have to do this zazen, right? What's the point? So we have to have a little bit of what's called Abhidharma understanding. So there are 3 different baskets of knowledge in Buddhism, and one of them is the Abhidharma, which is sort of the theory of mind, if you will, in Buddhism. I'm going to do my best to make this as like Abhidharma for dummies as I possibly can. So bear with me. Okay? We start off with the best, right? We're all born with Buddha nature. Now, Buddha nature has so many different words, right? It's the Tathagata Garbha, it's the thus come one, it's suchness, it's luminous clear light, it's God, for lack of a better word, too. You can put God in there, right? Don't be afraid, especially if you're coming from another religion, right? You can put God in there and it all can make sense for you, okay? Pure potentiality, original face, so you get the idea of what we're talking about. the transcendent, if you will. No obstruction, pure, 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 pure heart. That is who we are. Okay? Now, we don't actually feel that way. And we don't actually experience ourselves and everybody else like that, right? Far, far from it. And the reason, according to Buddhism, is something happens to us, and we don't really exactly know why or how, even how, but something happens where we have this sense of a solid, separate personhood, self, that we posit over and against this lovely, pure, unconditional love, unconditional compassion. And there's no way to really explain it. People have used metaphors, and one of the metaphors is, and I'm going to try my best here, folks. One of the metaphors is, so pure potentiality, clear luminous light is like the water going over Niagara Falls, right? Just everything's flowing, water is water, and there's no obstruction, right? Then something happens as it's going over the cliff there, and a little drop of water sort of sprays out from the waterfall. And something happens to that drop. Normally the drop sprays out, and then takes a nice little tumble and goes back into the water, right? And it's good and it's fun, kind of like a little roller coaster ride for the droplet. But for humans, what happens is when that droplet comes out, when it just sort of freezes and it solidifies, okay? And all of a sudden we feel separate. And the consequence of feeling separate is kind of total panic and total bewilderment. And there's this sort of confusion and this fogginess that sets in. And we all know this feeling, right? We all know in the depths of the night, what is going on here? Who am I? Right? What is going to happen to me? How the hell did I get here? Why is this awful stuff happening to me? We all know this. And then that solidified drop that we are begins to try to figure out what just happened here. What is going on? And it goes to all kinds of projections. Well, it happened because my mother and my father did this, and my sister did that, and the society did this, and I didn't get enough education. I got too much education. Fill in the blank. The projections of the ego are myriad. So in Buddhism, it is this ego's fundamental lack of realizing that it's water. It is clear, luminous light. It is Tathagata. It is the thus come one. There is fundamentally no separation in the separation. This is called non-dual. It doesn't obliterate the separation, but it's one. Hard to talk about one. So, because when we get to that solid sense of self, that separate, what's happening here? That panic has a lot of movement in it and a lot of anxiety in it, right? Think about this, like we think of the anxiety of the age, or all the anxiety we're feeling right now. there's actually, according to Buddhism, a fundamental anxiety that we have to look directly at and find a way to relax, calm the hell down, and realize that we are the ground of being, that we are not separate from God, right? This is the work of Zen. This is the work of Buddhism. This is, quite frankly, the work of all true religion, right? This reuniting us with the Godhead, if you will, with our Buddha nature. These are words at this level, all these words are interchangeable. So this is all a preamble to say, those who remain unmoved, even by scriptures. So why do we have to remain unmoved? Because the projections of the ego, the intellect, the feeling, the sensations, all of the other perceptions, all of those other components of the mind stream have to do with kind of like, what's going on? What's going on? How can I fix this? Hypervigilance, right? Hypervigilance, right? What's going on? What's going on? And that incessant and relentless kind of outward looking, right, is what keeps us from knowing our true self. That's it, in a nutshell. So, you've got to stop moving the mind, right? Now, but here's the kicker. You can't stop moving the mind. But you can recognize the nature of the mind moving as clear light, as suchness, as tathagata, as not separate from God. That's the work. Simple dimple. Okay, so, and that's why we say not moved even by scriptures, because when you're sitting in zazen, right, you don't want to be like picking up and playing with the cognition, right? Because all of those things are the movements that are causing the problem, right? You see that? You see that? Please see that. But at the same time, you need to have the cognitive framework to kind of orient yourself. So it's a very simple dimple, but you have to be very mature, right? You have to be able to know what are you doing at any particular time. What is the practice that I'm engaged in? Now, a lot of people are doing the more cognitive framework study of the Lam Rim, and I want to remind people, right? So when you're doing Lam Rim, you want to receive the information, you want to learn it, you want to analyze it. Does this make sense to me? Is what I'm saying right now making sense to you? And then if it does, you want to meditate on it. But this meditation is called analytic meditation. It means you're thinking about it, you're chewing on it, you're working on it, you're making it your own, right? You're actively engaged, you're moving around with it, right? Zazen is a different modality. Zazen is entering into the unborn, the unmoving, our original face before all of the solidity and the separation started. So please Keep that straight. Know what you're doing when you're doing it. And don't be sliding around in your mind. You have to be disciplined. And you can do this. It's really not that hard. Okay. Let's see. So if you are remaining unmoved, even by scriptures, here, you're in complete and unspoken agreement with reason. There you go. You're in complete and unspoken agreement with prajna wisdom. Now, prajna wisdom, the wisdom of our intuition, is what perceives Buddha nature. Okay? So, as soon as you see your intellect getting in there and mucking about, you just give yourself a little, not now, what is it, Tonto, Tato, whatever it is, Toto. Anyway, not now, not now, not now. Now is not the time for confusion. And of course, what happens is we have this beautiful technology for this. It's called koans. Because as soon as, koans are like this little, slice of reality, which is actually the whole of reality, right? And you sort of take it like a pill or something, and you just ingest the whole thing, and you become one with the koan, right? And you're asked some questions about it, and you're asked to demonstrate your oneness with the koan, your understanding of the koan. And lo and behold, if that intellect tries to get in there and muck about and give an answer, guess what happens? Ring, 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 you're gone, you're out of there. And you have to go back to unmoving, all right? This is not just because we're kind of being hard asses, right? It's actually because you have to encounter that fundamental consciousness. Buddhism, especially Zen, is all about going right to the very seat of consciousness and transforming it. Now, if this is of interest to you, it'd be great if you stuck around. It's not hard. It really isn't. All the things you need to be able to accomplish this work are here. And I don't have time to go into why that is, but it is true. So without moving, without effort, that's the other piece, without effort. OMG, right? Relax. Got to relax and enjoy your breath and have no quarrel with what is arising in your mind stream, because it is not separate from your Buddha nature. Can you do that? Yes, you can. You can do that. You have beginning instruction. You see the contents of the mind. You acknowledge it. Oh, this is my karma unfolding. This is my mind stream trying to do the best that it can to figure out what the hell is going on here. And I really just give it a kiss and give it a bow, and I really appreciate that effort. Really appreciate that effort. But sadly, that intellect does not have the skills and the power and the capacity to do the work of the intuition. So, and that means memory. Generally what we're experiencing is memory in Zazen. You give it a kiss, and you put it on your knee, and you say, back to the work. Back to the deep faith and the deep trust in my Buddha nature, the Buddha nature of everybody. deep trust in my own intuitive capacity to realize this Buddha nature. You've got it. You have got it. You've got it. You've got it. You can do this. And when you just do that simple shift, that's it. You've done it. You have done it. The thing is, you have to make that simple shift over and over and over and over and over again. But after a while, it gets to be kind of fun and amusing. Oh, there it is. I got pulled out of whatever story, with whatever story was going on. Oh, I'm come back. And you have such this sort of like pool of this huge pool of sort of warm-hearted, spacious contact with with this intuitive prajna wisdom, that it's so easy and so comfortable to come back. Because it feels good, it feels safe, it feels true, it feels right. So that's entering by reason. Okay, now we're going to enter by practice. Okay, really important, practice isn't over here and reason over there. You've only got one consciousness, right? So it's all mushed together. At the same time, you have to remember where you are and what you're doing, okay? So this is Bodhidharma's very rough translation of the Four Noble Truths. So the Four Noble Truths in Buddhism are like super important. Everybody, no matter kind of what branch of Buddhism you practice, everybody kind of agrees on these noble truths. And they're very simple. The first noble truth is that life is suffering, okay? I don't think we need to go into that too much more. It's pretty obvious, right? You just have to open your eyes in the morning and there's your experience. There's a cause of that suffering, right? There's an end to that suffering. We can put it to bed, no more. And the way to put an end to it is to practice the Buddha Dharma, to practice this unmoving, right? To practice precepts, to practice bodhicitta, to practice refuge. There's like, the path is, there's so many different ways to practice, and they all kind of weave together in a beautiful braid. So the first one is life is suffering, right? And interestingly, Bodhidharma puts a little caveat on it. He says, first, suffering injustice. I'll read the paragraph first. When those who search for the path encounter adversity, they should think to themselves, in countless ages gone by, I've turned from the essential, Buddha nature, to the trivial, and wandered through all manner of existence, often angry and guilty of numberless transgressions. Just to put a caveat on there, you have to be super brave and super courageous with this practice, because you're turning around and you're looking directly into the storm, right? And a lot of times it just isn't pretty. We've done some really weird, egregious, messed up things. And we've had really awful things happen to us, right? This is the human condition. And we have to be able to have that chutzpah to say, no, I'm not turning away anymore. I'm not denying. I'm going to look right at it. Now, though I do no wrong, I am punished by my past. Neither gods nor man can foresee when an evil deed will bear fruit. I accept it with an open heart. And he says without complaint of injustice, but I'm going to change that. Without blaming others. So let's go on to the other thing. So I accept it with an open heart and without blaming others. Now here, this is really interesting, right? Other people have really been messing with us, right? They've really been reckless with our hearts, with our bodies, with our minds, with our goodwill. I mean, fill in the blank, right? There's been some really yucky stuff. It's come to us. It is now in our consciousness. It is our problem. It is no longer the problem of the person who perpetrated the act. They have their own problem and their own negative karmic consequences in their mind stream. But we now have the effects of whatever they did in our mind stream, and we, only us, are responsible for transmuting and transforming that into awakening. No more blame game. This is very important. Now, we can do this work and at the same time recognize social injustice and do something about it. Those two do not interfere with each other in the least. But we must take full responsibility for our own consciousness, what is in our own minds. It is not anybody else's fault, but ours. That's a biggie, actually. The sutras say, when you meet with adversity, don't be upset because it makes sense. Makes sense means there's karmic causes and conditions that brought it to our consciousness, and now it makes sense that because it's here, we have to work with it. We have to work with what is so. We have to know what is the case and what is not the case. With such understanding, you're in harmony with reason, and by suffering injustice or metabolizing the injustice that has been done to you correctly, you enter the path. Let me repeat that. By metabolizing the injustice that has been done to you correctly, with the help and the guidance of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, teachers, Sangha, all the Dharmas arising, all the Buddhas arising through the cracks of the earth to help you, because you have said, I will change. I want to realize my Buddha nature. Trust me, as soon as you make that vow, help is on the way, baby, big time. And you've entered the path. So that's how it goes.
We'll now recite the Bodhisattva vows, which are also found on page 8. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. That concludes the streaming portion of our service. Do we have announcements?